Persona fans were shocked to see Persona 3 Reload recast the entirety of the long-term voice actors, yet Sega nor Atlus ever said why. I'ma hold your hand when I say this, the Sega marketing department used the same strategy as Square Enix's recast with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and there is one person involved in both of these recasts. The Persona 3 Reload recast was announced June 11th, 2023, with new voice actors taking over the roles from the long-term voice actors. What Sega and Atlus did in this scenario was have the original voice actors step back into background characters, giving way for the new cast to settle into the main roles.
Persona 3 Reload debuts a brand new voice cast for Seeds, but did you know that most of the original actors are still in the game as other characters? Some are even used in scenes playing opposite the character they once played.
Fans concerned about this recast shook the internet, with many accounts giving reasons for the recast, such as the actors being too old, or the original actors cost too much. But these were all speculations, as Atlus never released why. Casting directors Valerie and Keith Aram were very consistent over the years and always had the original actors come back, so why the sudden change with a new modern spin on Persona 3? There was even a passing of the torch moment between Alex Lee and Yuri Lowenthal, when Yuri seemingly passed the legacy of the protagonist down to Alex Lee. It seems like all is well in the voice acting world, and the original cast passed the torch to the new cast. No conspiracy here. Or is there? A recast is generally the decision of the marketing department, as they decide the target audience they need to aim for when launching a game, and the trendy theme right now is younger audiences and younger actors. When looking at Sega's marketing department, Square Enix aficionados will find a familiar name attached to Persona 3. Ryan Lucena. Ryan Lucena left Square Enix in October 2022 and wasted no time accepting the vice presidency of brand and product marketing at Sega that same month. Conveniently, right after Lucena decorated his office, the entire cast of Persona 3 got the pink slip, and YouTuber Yong Yea claims the leading role of Kiryu from longtime voice actor Darryl Kurylo.
Let's cut the chit-chat. You got any info for me?
What does Lucena have to do with the recast of Persona? Well, he was part of the Square Enix marketing team that issued the recast for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Square Enix's marketing and PR department were filled by former Activision Blizzard employees for the launch of Final Fantasy VII Remake. The Department of Marketing, Communications, and PR were led by people who all worked with each other at Activision Blizzard before moving over to Square Enix, including Ryan Lucena. Square Enix became the new Activision Blizzard Good Ol' Boys Club, with 6 Activision Blizzard employees working together to launch and market the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake. To have an in-depth look at the Activision Blizzard takeover, make sure you like and subscribe to get notified when new videos drop. John Heinecke was the Chief Marketing Officer for Square Enix, hired in October 2018, who led the marketing team of former Activision Blizzard staff Neil Pabon, Ryan Lucena, and Kevin Kraft throughout the celebrity recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And yes, those 4 gentlemen worked at other companies with each other before joining Square Enix, picking up where they left off. By June 10th, 2019, all the original actors were fired and replaced with new actors, 8 months after Heinecke took office. Heinecke was involved with an exact copy of the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake when he worked at Activision Blizzard as a senior global brand director for StarCraft 2. Glennis Campbell voiced Sarah Kerrigan in 2 publicly released trailers and the entire game before being dropped last minute and replaced with Battlestar Galactica celebrity Tricia Helfer. Pause this video to get an in-depth look at the comparison of the StarCraft 2 recast and the Final Fantasy VII Remake recast, because the same thing happened with Tyler Hoechlin and Cody Christian taking the headlining roles of Cloud and Sephiroth from Steve Burton and George Newbern.
You're the Cloud.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
I got fired, but it was cool.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's been great. It was a good run. 20 years almost. It was good.
Jeez.
But
yeah,
that's
the new game's coming out.
Thanks for reminding me. That's why they fired us. They fired all of us. They fired everybody.
Really?
They fired the whole cast.
They were looking for the next young thing.
They did. They hired all younger people. Yeah.
Boy.
They got rid of all the original cast for a new and younger cast.
Yeah, about 6 months before, they said, hey, by the way, thanks so much for the work you've done, but we're recasting everything.
Well, I heard before that we were going to be in it.
Oh, you had?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
That we were, and then something happened during that time where they decided to go a lot.
Might have been the
go a lot
incident.
younger.
George Newbern stated he was told 6 months before the announcement of E3 in June 2019 that he was being replaced. If the E3 announcement was June 10th, 2019, that means he was told around December 2018 that they were recasting everyone, roughly 2 months after John Heinecke took over the marketing of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Ryan Lucena, after experiencing the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake, left Square Enix and took the VP of Brand Marketing position at Sega October 2022, and suddenly, on June 11th, 2023, it was announced that the entire Persona 3 cast was being recast 8 months after he took office, the same number of months it took for the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake to be announced. John Heinecke took the strategy from the StarCraft 2 Celebrity Recast and implemented it in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then Ryan Lucena took John Heinecke's recast strategy of Final Fantasy VII Remake and implemented it in Sega, recasting Persona 3 Reload, the future Persona 4, and Yakuza. Seeing how fast Ryan Lucena recast Persona makes me wonder if he was one of the initial people pushing for the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but was possibly stopped by CMO at the time, Mike Sherlock. When Mike Sherlock passed away in 2018, John Heinecke quickly took office as CMO a month later, and the recast of Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced and all plans were in motion. Are we putting the pieces together? Good, because it's not over for you yet, Persona fans, it gets worse. If you aren't mad now, it's time to get mad. Final Fantasy VII Remake was the experimental recast where the marketing team had to learn how to market and do PR for their new celebrity cast, while keeping the fans' criticisms of the recast far away from Japan to give the appearance that the recast was well received by fans. They achieved this by locking down communications, marketing, and PR. Remember, the exclusive Activision Blizzard Club. The recast consisted of firing the voice cast who voiced the characters for 17 years in 14 different titles, as well as the trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2015. Not to mention, the original cast was already on the project before being fired by Square Enix months before E3's reveal, June 2019. A State of Play trailer was released a month before E3 in May 2019, featuring the new cast without any confirmation of the recast. This trailer was the testing ground to see fans' reaction to the new cast, so marketing and PR could prepare their campaign to combat fans' disapproval. Persona 3 Reload is your State of Play trailer. Now, how would a marketing director convince fans to drop the old cast and play with the new shiny cast? Have the main character's old voice actors pass the torch to the new voice actors, something that was also done in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Remember, Ryan Lucena handled both. Yuri Lowenthal and Alex Lee's Twitter exchange is the exact same Twitter exchange between Steve Burton and Cody Christian, shoes included. All actors involved in this passing of the torch moment were most likely told by marketing to participate for good PR. Steve Burton definitely got the worst of it because he was actually fired from Final Fantasy VII Remake along with the rest of the cast. He recorded the trailer from 2015 and allegedly the entire game, continued to voice Cloud in other projects while constantly being told he was voicing Cloud in the remake, and then got fired right before E3, and then had this exchange with Cody, the guy who took his role, after getting fired. Like, come on, how can you treat someone like that? Lucena learned from the mess of a recast from Final Fantasy VII Remake to ease fans into a complete recast. So having the old cast of Persona 3 take background characters while having the new cast take their roles primes fans into the recast that will take place in Persona 4, which was leaked by Yuri Lowenthal, saying they blocked him from voicing Yosuke in the Persona 4 remake. I would assume Yuri finally found out what Persona 3 Reload actually means for the original Persona cast moving forward. If it was anything like what was told to the Final Fantasy VII Remake fans, they probably told the actors the recast was only for Persona 3 Reload, which is why the old cast seems so supportive of the new cast in these interviews for good PR.
They said that a lot of the existing roles that people have been playing for, or Aerith or Tifa or Cloud or Barrett, people that have been playing those roles over the past 15, 16 years, are going to continue playing those roles in things that are not FF7 Remake. So if it's Cydia, if it's like another project where Cloud is like a guest appearance or something like that. Apparently they said they're going to continue using the original voice actors.
So that was a f***ing lie.
They got blocked from their roles just like the Final Fantasy VII Remake original cast got blocked from theirs, and Ryan Lucena was involved in both of these projects. A similarity between the recast of Persona 3 Reload and Final Fantasy VII Remakes is only the English versions of the games were recast. The Japanese actors remain intact, and in the case of Remake, the French and German versions also use their original actors. You were probably wondering why casting directors would even want to replace the long-term actors after asking them back for all iterations. The same thing happened to Final Fantasy VII Remake with Skybox Studios being incredibly consistent with keeping the original cast in all projects. This is more marketing. If it looks like the original casting directors chose to recast, then it would position fans into thinking it was a natural decision for the betterment of the characters, and not a marketing decision by some goofy goobers who want to make a name for themselves. I would wager the casting directors for Persona 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake had no choice if they wanted to stay on the projects and keep having Square Enix and Sega as clients. They need to run their business too. They will do as their clients ask. The recasts were not to better the characters, but were most likely to boost the reputations of the marketing and PR teams within the company, and also on the corporate watering ground LinkedIn. Ryan Lucena went from Senior Marketing Director at Square Enix to VP of Brand Marketing at Sega, and used the same strategy he learned from marketing veteran John Heinecke from the Remake's recast to implement a recast of his own in Persona 3 Reload. If Sega is operating like Square Enix, they will try and keep any fan criticism away from Japan. So if you keep quiet and not let Sega Japan know what's going on, you will most likely experience more recasts in the future. What kind of future do you want for your favorite games and voice actors? The choice is yours.